Hola,
¿Cómo estás? Buenos días.
bien, bien. Hoy es su día, Víctor. Yo creo que va mucha gente.
Sí, está muy bien.
¿Te parece bien? Ok, déjame preparar. Estoy prometiendo, poniendo en YouTube, etcétera. ¿Ok?
Sí, todo bien, perfecto.
Ok, nos vemos en 20, well, cualquier tiempo. Yo estoy dentro. Si tú quieres venir,
Perfecto.
estoy dentro. ¿Ok?
Sí,
Ok, chao.
perfecto.
Yeah. Oh my God. Hey, welcome, Vlad. Greetings, everybody. Hello, everybody. You can say hi.
Hello, sir. How are you, sir?
How you doing? Who am I talking
Fine,
to?
sir.
Who am I
Sir,
talking?
Dr. Shahnaz, sir, from Bangladesh, sir.
Oh, great, great. I hope we have a lot of people from Bangladesh today. Hopefully,
Hope, hopefully, sir.
I'm near this beach here. This is
Yes, sir.
okay, but I'm gonna get serious here. It's time to put my game face on. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, that's a little more professional, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, welcome to everybody. We're just setting up now. I spoke to Victor. He's going to come this. Sometimes you have this fear that your speaker's not going to show. It hasn't happened much. Okay, we start in 20 minutes. So I'll be back.
Oh,
Hello, Warlix. Hello, Warlix. I know you're there. You can't hide. Well, maybe you hide. Oh, I guess it fell off. CDW, CMW, C. Hey, Warlix, are you there? Okay. That's okay, Warlix. Oh, I'll text you. Okay. Yeah, everybody, we start in, let's see, well, 12 minutes. Welcome, everybody. We start in about 9 minutes. Victor is usually pretty punctual.
পিছনে লাইটটা বন্ধ করা যায়, এটা আলাদা করে।
হ্যালো। শোনা যায় না কেন?
Please mute your microphone. Please, everybody, mute your microphone. There you go. Hey, welcome, Mohammed.
John, how are you?
Good. How are you doing? You're looking. You're looking.
Good evening.
You're
Good
looking.
evening.
You're looking good.
Yeah,
Okay, we're gonna have a few people here.
yeah. Many of us is still going to join because this is a prayer time in Bangladesh. Just
Oh, okay. Oh, it is. Okay.
Maghrib prayer. So we should wait for 5 minutes at least.
Oh, well, we can change the time next time.
Okay. Yes.
Is it, I didn't realize that. Okay. Okay, I'll be back. Sure. We start in 2 minutes. Here's Victor now. Okay. We've known each other for years. Okay, Victor, you're in, right?
Hi, John.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, we can introduce each other in the meantime.
Okay, sure. Go ahead, Mohammed.
Yeah. Today with us, we have Professor Shafiqul Islam. He is our mentor. He is our.
Hello, John. This is Dr. Shafiq.
Hi, how you? Nice to meet you. I'm
Yeah,
John
nice
Bennett.
to
I'm
meet
in
you.
I'm in Miami.
Yeah, you're very much known to all of us.
Oh, great.
Nice to meet you today.
It's nice to meet you finally.
Thank you.
Okay, we're just gonna, do the webcast and the actual format. We'll see where it goes. It could be interactive, a lot. I don't know. We'll just leave it open. But if you haven't seen Victor, you're in for a treat. He's very good.
Thank you.
Okay, Victor, you there? Are you setting up now? We starting.
Hello, John.
Victor, está allá.
Hello.
Oh, that's right.
How are
English.
you?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was speaking. Let me. Why is the screen going to her? Huh? Are you getting? Okay.
I am ready, John.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let me just I'm just wondering why you're not going to the screen. Hold on. Let me investigate this. Give me a second. A lot of last minute attendees. I have to let them in. Everybody mute, please. Mute your microphone. Okay. Okay, I guess
Victor,
I have to mute.
Hello, Vlad.
Hey,
How
Vlad.
are you?
how are you?
Okay. Okay, it's not leaving her screen. Hey, Victor, can you talk again, Victor? The screen's not, okay, I'm gonna have to. Okay. Okay, Victor, you ready to start?
Yes, John.
Again, the screen doesn't seem to be functioning correct. because the screen is staying on what is wrong here? Let me see here. Okay, let me just figure this out. Oh, okay. I just have to spotlight you, I guess, Victor.
Okay.
Okay, okay, there you are. Okay, there you go. Okay, okay. Okay, here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good morning from Miami Beach. This is Dr. John Bennett with the first episode of Neuroanatomy TV. And I don't know why the screen's not moving. Let me just pin my video. Yeah, welcome to the first Neuroanatomy TV episode. And we are graced with the presence of Victor Hugo Perez, MD, a famed neuroanatomist and neurosurgeon from Mexico City. And I'd like to thank the CNW for bringing this idea to our CNW Bangladesh for bringing this idea to my attention. Hello, you want to say hello, Mohammed, the head of
John.
CNW?
Thank you very much for arranging such a beautiful and brilliant lecture session from the Rotten Books. And thank you, Hugo Perez sir and Vladimir Benes sir here for their presence and enlightened us with his brilliant knowledges. Thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome, Mohammed.
Start.
Welcome. Okay, Victor, it's all yours.
Okay, let me put a screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes, not big though. It's not big. Like okay. Yeah, make it bigger.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. It's down on the bottom there. Yeah, you got it. Right, one of those babies.
Okay.
It's one of them.
Hi, John. Hello, John.
Yes, hello.
Today we have our professor mentor Shafiqul Islam sir with us. Let's yes, sir. Sir, please.
Hold on. No, hold on. No, just wait. Be patient. Be patient. Everyone knows tech sometimes acts up. I think Victor is downloading something, right, Victor? Are you there?
Yeah.
Yes. I have a little problem. I am trying to.
Okay, we're just gonna wait. We're just gonna wait. That's okay.
Okay.
All good things take time. And we can all relate to tech difficulties.
Is this early morning in your place, John?
Yes, it is. It's 8 o'clock here in Miami. Where are you at?
Just evening 6 p.m.
Oh, okay. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Perfect, Victor.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, hello everybody. It's a honor to be in this beginning of this course of anatomy. Today we are going to talk about the cerebrum, surface, sulci and craniometric points. We should speak about the first anatomist. As you know, the most prominent anatomist was Andreas Vesalius. He was professor of anatomy and surgery at Padua University in Italy. Vesalius was a native of Brussels who studied anatomy in Paris, and his seminal work, De Humani Corporis Fabrica, was completed in Padua and Venice in these remote years. It was published in Basel. The Fabrica was based on extensive human dissections. The knowledge of the correlations between the nervous structures and their respective neurophysiological functions were by Paul Broca in France, and John Hoglins in England. The paired cerebral hemispheres constitute the largest part of the brain. They are separated by the longitudinal fissure, interconnected by the corpus callosum, and merged with the encephalon to establish continuity with the brain stem and the spinal cord. They encase the lateral anterior ventricles. In this picture, we can see the rostral part of a brain stained with arteries with color red and veins with color blue. In the right side, without meninges. The cerebral hemispheres have three surfaces: lateral, medial, and basal. Three margins: superior, inferior, and medial. And three poles: frontal, temporal, and occipital. Three types of white matter fibers: projection, commissural, and association. And five lobes: frontal, parietal, temporal, occipital, and the hidden insula. The most important landmarks for orienting surgery are the three borders, the three poles, the sylvian and interhemispheric fissures, and the central sulcus. The cerebral hemispheres have the greatest transverse diameter across the parietal lobes. The longitudinal fissure, the deep cleft separating the upper part of the paired hemispheres, contains a sickle-shaped process of dura called the falx cerebri that separates the anterior and posterior parts of the hemispheres, as you can see in this picture. At the depth, we can see the anterior cerebral artery and the corpus callosum in this part.
The cerebral hemispheres are separated into right and left halves by a deep groove called the longitudinal fissure. This is dura mater, the straight longitudinal sinus, superior longitudinal sinus. I'm going to remove the dura mater, and here we have the longitudinal fissure. Other prominent grooves, fissures, or sulci separate the hemispheres into lobes. Two such grooves are the central sulcus This is the central sulcus, this one, the precentral sulcus, and postcentral sulcus. This central sulcus is also known as fissure of Rolando, and the lateral fissure, also called fissure of Sylvius, is this one. This is the frontal lobe, parietal lobe, and temporal lobe. This is the fissure of Sylvius. The central sulcus runs from the top from the top of the hemisphere, downward and forward about midway between the front and rear poles of the hemispheres, the rear and frontal pole. The lateral fissure runs backward and slightly upward. Here we have that this fissure runs backward and slightly upward, appearing as a deep groove between the temporal and parietal lobes. Let's try to separate this fissure. Okay, I am separating this fissure. Okay.
Here we have the superior sagittal sinus and some veins draining on it. This is, as you can see we have the frontal lobes, parietal and occipital. The cerebral hemispheres have three surfaces: lateral, medial, and basal. The lateral surface, referred to as the convexity faces the cranial cap laterally. The medial surface of the frontal, parietal, and occipital lobes faces the false cerebri medially, and the medial surface of the temporal lobe faces the lateral aspect of the midbrain. The sylvian fissure and central sulcus are the most important landmarks on the lateral surface. The sylvian fissure is the most distinct and consistent landmark on the lateral surface. As you can see, here we have the sylvian fissure. It is a complex fissure that carries the middle cerebral artery and its branches and provides a surgical gateway connecting the cerebral surface to the anterior part of the basal surface and cranial base. Here we have the sylvian fissure opened, and we can see the segments of the middle cerebral artery. Here we have the supraclinoid carotid artery, the first, second, third, and fourth segment of this middle cerebral artery. In some other chapters of this course, we are going to talk about these arteries. The frontal lobe, rostral to the central sulcus, between it and the precentral sulcus, is the precentral gyrus, primary motor area. Here we have the primary motor area, which is in one of the most important cortical areas involved with movement. Body parts are disproportionately and somatotopically represented in the primary motor area. The representation of the face is lower than the upper extremity. Stimulation of specific areas of the precentral gyrus results in the movement of a single muscle or a group of muscles in the contralateral part of the body. Parietal lobe, caudal to the central sulcus, between it and the postcentral gyrus, a primary sensory somesthetic area involved in general body sensation. Body representation in the primary sensory area is similar to that described above for the primary motor area. Caudal to the postcentral gyrus, the intraparietal sulcus extends horizontally across the parietal lobe, dividing it into superior and inferior parietal lobules. The superior parietal lobule is involved with the behavioral interaction of an individual with the surrounding space. A lesion in this lobule, especially in the right, results in neglect of body parts contralateral to the lesion.
The frontal lobe consists of the cortex rostral to the central sulcus. The precentral sulcus separates the more vertically oriented precentral gyrus. From the more horizontal oriented frontal gyri. These are the more horizontally oriented frontal gyri. The superior and inferior frontal sulci delineate the superior, middle, and inferior frontal gyri. This is the superior, middle, and inferior frontal gyri. The inferior frontal gyrus is partitioned into smaller gyri. Is divided in 3 gyri. The parietal lobe is demarcated by the central sulcus rostrally and the lateral fissure inferiorly, extended to an imaginary line between the parieto-occipital fissure. The parieto-occipital fissure is in this side, parieto-occipital fissure. And the pre-occipital notch. This is the pre-occipital notch and the parieto-occipital fissure. If you delineate an imaginary line from here, the parieto-occipital fissure, to the pre-occipital notch in the middle of this imaginary line, you could have the limits of the temporal and parietal lobe.
The temporal lobe, 3 gyri constitute the lateral surface of the temporal lobe. The superior temporal gyrus contains on its dorsal border the transverse temporal gyri of Hesch. This is a primary auditory area.
The inferior surface of the temporal lobe can be seen better if the brain stem and cerebellum are removed. The gyri of the inferior surface of the temporal lobe are arranged in a longitudinal direction. The sulci between the gyri are often irregular and discontinuous. The most medial of the gyri is the parahippocampal gyrus. This is the parahippocampal gyrus, which extends forward from the lingual gyrus at the level of the isthmus, where it blends with the cingulate gyrus. Behind and above the corpus callosum. The small hook-like convolution on its anteromedial border, which overlies the optic nerve. This is the optic nerve. Is the uncus. This is the uncus. The collateral sulcus marks the lateral border of the parahippocampal gyrus. This is the collateral sulci. It is usually interrupted along its length. The anterior extension of the collateral sulcus toward the temporal pole is the renal sulcus. Between the collateral sulcus and the more lateral occipitotemporal sulcus is the fusiform or occipitotemporal gyrus. Occipitotemporal gyrus.
The temporal lobe. Caudal to the transverse gyri of Hesch in the superior temporal gyrus is Wernicke area. Here we have the gyri of Hesch, and in the superior temporal gyri, and in the posterior part, the Wernicke area, which is involved in the comprehension of a spoken language. The inferior temporal gyrus is involved with the perception of visual form and color.
The occipital lobe is behind the parietal and temporal lobes and is separated from them by a vertical line between a fissure above and notch below. Visual information is processed in the occipital lobes. Damage to this area results in a partial or complete blindness. The lowest part of the hindbrain, the medulla oblongata, is continuous with the spinal cord. This 2.5 centimeter long region controls such vital functions as respiration and heart rate. Just above the medulla is the pons, which serves as part of a relay between the cerebral hemispheres and the cerebellum. The cerebellum can be identified clearly from the overlying cerebral hemispheres. By its more finely folded surface. The cerebellum deals with muscle coordination and balance involved in such as writing and walking. I'm going to remove some arachnoid from the cerebellum.
সাইদ ঝামেলা হয়ে গেল তো একটা, সোমবার করে বদলাতে হবে। সোমবারে একটা
The cerebral hemispheres consist of 5 lobes. The medial surface moving backward from the front, one can see the medial surface of the frontal, parietal, and occipital lobes. Let's go to see another specimen
The occipital lobe On the lateral aspect of the brain, the occipital lobe merges with the parietal and temporal lobes. Here we have parietal, frontal, temporal, and here we have the occipital lobe. This is separated from them by an imaginary line drawn between the tip of the parieto-occipital fissure and the pre-occipital notch. The occipital pole contains a portion of the primary visual area. Sulci of the cerebral hemispheres become much more prominent in degenerative brain disorders because of the atrophy of the gyri. They could be studied very well because of this atrophy. Another technique to understand brain anatomy and also vascular is the injection of veins and arteries, as you can see in here. Here we have the vein of Lobe, the Sylvian vein in this part, and here we have the vein of Trollard. And a very good anastomosis between these three important veins on the superficial aspect, lateral aspect of the brain. Again, the vein of Lobe, Sylvian vein, and vein of Trollard. The medial surface, in here we can see the corpus callosum in a mid-sagittal section of the brain. It stands out prominently as a C-shaped. This is like a C-shaped. And is subdivided into a head, also known as rostrum, a large body extending across the frontal lobe and parietal lobes, frontal and parietal lobes, a genu, the knee, and connecting the rostrum and the body and the splenium at the caudal extremity. This is splenium and geni and body. It consists of fibers that connected the two cerebral hemispheres. In the medial surface, we can identify the calcarine sulcus, the parieto-occipital sulcus, marginal sulcus, and parieto-occipital sulcus, parieto-occipital sulcus. The central sulcus and pericallosal sulcus. This is pericallosal sulcus.
Here we have the medial aspect of right hemisphere of a brain. So I have removed some gray substance in order to see this white substance. It really looks beautiful. These are this is the corpus callosum, the splenium, trunk, rostral, and genu of corpus callosum, where we have the white substance. This is white substance. Another structures that we can identify in here is the subcallosal area, the thalamus, hypothalamus, mammillary body, optic nerve, the chiasma, optic chiasma, the anterior white commissure,
The surface anatomy of the cranium has several points that we should consider in order to make a preoperative preparation of the patient. For example, here in this picture, we have the pterion. The pterion is a region where the following bones are approximated: frontal, parietal, and temporal. An sphenoid, breather wing of the sphenoid, estimated as 2 finger blades above the zygomatic arc and a thumb breadth behind the frontal process of zygomatic bone. This is the blue circle, the pterion. And the asterion is a junction of lambdoid, occipitomastoid, and parietomastoid sutures, usually lies within a few millimeters of the posterior and inferior edge of the junction of the transverse and sinuses. The vertex is the topmost point of the skull. Lambda is a junction of the lambdoid and sagittal sutures. The Stephanion is a junction of a coronal suture and superior temporal line. The glabella is the most forward projecting point on the forehead at the level of the supraorbital ridge. In order to understand these important points, we should exercise with a real skull. In the midline, we have the opistheon, that is a posterior margin of the foramen magnum in the middle. Here we have the opistheon, and the bregma is the junction of the coronal and sagittal sutures. In here we can see the bregma. Sagittal suture is a midline suture from coronal suture to lambdoid suture, although often assumed. To overlay the superior sagittal sinus, the superior sagittal sinus lies to the right of the sagittal suture in the majority of specimens, but never greater than 11 millimeters. This is very important in order to make an approach in the occipital area of the skull. The most anterior mastoid point lies just in front of the sigmoid sinus. In order to comprehend the anatomy of the brain, it is also important to practice to make some injections of arteries and veins in the brain. This is an injection in a brain. We are injecting silicone in color red, and we can go to the to vessels very small like this. Here we have the Taylor and Houghton lines for localize. These are localizing methods. Frankfurt plane, also known as baseline, is a line from inferior margin of orbit through the upper margin of the external auditory meatus, as distinguished from Reid's baseline from inferior orbital margin through the center of the external auditory meatus. The distance from the nasum to the inion is measured across the top of the calvaria and is divided into quarters. Can be done simply with a piece of tape, which is then folded in half twice. Here we have this line divided in four quarters, and in this form we can localize some structures. Posterior ear line perpendicular to the baseline through the mastoid process. Condylar line perpendicular to the baseline through the mandibular condyle. And these lines can then be used to approximate the sylvian fissure and the motor cortex. Here we have the sylvian fissure. The sylvian fissure approximated by a line connecting the lateral canthus to the point 3/4 of the way posterior along the arc running over convexity from nasion to inion. In order to understand some anatomical regions in the brain, we exercise with these small cuts. This is the posterior aspect of the brain. This is occipital lobes. I am going to remove these cuts, and you can see in two different colors. The blue color is a cortex, and the white are white fibers. This is known as Mulligan technique stain, and this is very useful to understand the anatomy of the intrinsic anatomy of the brain. We can differentiate white substance from the cortex in color blue. Here we have also the cortex. Now we can see the ventricles, corpus callosum, cerebellum, and some nuclei of cerebellum. The basal ganglia. Basal ganglia thalamus, the midbrain, the pons and medulla oblongata.
Medulla oblongata.
Many thanks. I hope this lecture will be useful for your practice, and I am very sure that we can improve. We have to improve. We must improve the techniques in order to understand anatomy. Anatomy is not only a passion, it's a way to understand brain anatomy and the disease that affect the brain, and we can do better surgery with a better understanding of anatomy. Thank you very much.
That's great, Victor. I'm glad you're showing the world what you can do, and you're just starting. You haven't showed the latex injections extensively, but yeah, I don't know what to do. We have so many big people here. I'd like to introduce a few people first. Vlad, hello, Vlad. Vlad Benes. Hello, Vlad. Are you there? I guess not. He may have stepped away. I always make these mistakes. But okay, let's see. We'll meet a few as we go along, and we have something special at the end too. So, Mohammed, would you like to lead any questions or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you
Thank you.
take over, Mohammed? See if
Thank-
you get some
yeah, yeah.
questions. Okay.
Thank you, Victor sir, because it was a brilliant presentation. Actually, it was really a brilliant presentation. We have seen a lot of anatomical tips, not only the surface of the brain, some craniometric point, and also the inner aspect of the brain, like white matter fibers and relationship between the white matter fiber and gray matter. Actually, I want to ask, sir, how you prepare the brain and how you do your latex injection so beautifully. Can you tell us, sir?
Oh, yes. You could do that latex injection in some brain, in the brain, after it was put in formaldehyde in a solution with formaldehyde. 10 days submerged the brain in formaldehyde solution, and then after you can catheterize the arteries, and you can make this latex injection. Latex injection is very good because it's very thin. It's very thin. It's like a liquid. But you can also use silicone, and you can dilute the silicone with a special liquid, and you can make this silicone thinner. So in that way, you can inject veins and arteries. But the most important thing to do this is to have a very good brain, not damaged brain, with arteries and veins well preserved. If not, if you do not have a well-preserved brain, it's almost impossible to make the injection because you are going to have many problems with the leakage of the latex.
Thank you, sir.
Can I ask a question or a comment?
Yes.
Hello, Professor Victor. Your fashion and passion of anatomy is really interesting and stimulating of all of us to restart again and do the things. I'd like you, maybe one day you can just dedicate the conditions that we should preserve the specimens of the brain, when it is better to inject the latex or the silicone, in which conditions, in which dilutions, what temperature. Is it better to do it when the specimen is fresh? Is it frozen? Or is it in formaldehyde? Maybe you can give us a lecture about the steps, how we can do that ourselves. So maybe we can start studying the things in more practical way. Because during my career, nobody explained to me how we can get a proper samples with beautiful injections in the same way you are doing. So perhaps you can one day give us a short practical way of how to do that, and what are the conditions of the silicone or the latex, what temperature, in which day exactly. And all of us will be very, very, very thankful for you. Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you so much. Yes, I agree with you. I think we can prepare a special lecture about the injection. But let me tell you one thing. The most important thing is to have a well-preserved brain. And it's much better to inject the brain inside the corpse without remove the brain inside through the carotid arteries and jugular veins. But if that is not possible, I think there are in too many countries around the world, this is almost impossible. In my country, it's also difficult to do that. But sometimes we could do that injection in an unknown people in the Forensic Sciences Institute here in Mexico City, but
Okay.
it's not usual. It's very difficult. The other way is to remove the brain, put it under formaldehyde solution, and after 10 or 15 days, we can wash the brain with water and inject. I'm going to prepare a special lecture for doing this kind of specimens. Thank you. Thank you for your opinion.
Thank you very much for your passion of anatomy and dissection and these things. We are really learning too much from you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We have our Professor Shafiqul Islam, sir, is admin.
Can I ask you something? Yeah. Can I ask you something, Shimon?
Yes, sir.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate John for taking our idea to learn neuroanatomy for 20 weeks. That is going to cover whole Rotten books. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
And my question to Professor Fuku is, how do you make the brain blue? Can you give us the tips? How do you make the brain blue?
Again, please. Again.
Okay. Repeat the question, please.
Hello, sir. Can you repeat the question, sir?
In one of his slide, one of your slide, we saw that you make the brain blue. How do you do that?
For example, you mean the Mulligan technique in order to make the cortex in color blue and okay. This is a special technique. We have to prepare the brain and put it in several solutions, also with a special temperature. So this is a special and complex method to stain these coats of brain. I'm going to talk about this technique in some in the next lectures. I'm going to talk about this technique. It is really beautiful because you can identify all the compartments of the brain, all the deep structures. So I'm going to talk about that, but it's complex, and you can also find it if you look for this article, Mulligan technique for staining brains, there you are going to have the method, but it's complex.
Thank you. So So
Thank you so much.
We will wait for your next lecture on this technique.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
I'll do it. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Shomon.
Can I ask a question, sir? You?
Sure, go ahead, Mohammed.
Yeah. Somebody says that this craniometric points, sulci, gyri anatomy, understanding of detail of this part of the anatomy is nowadays is not so necessary because of the introduction of the neuronavigation. But what do you feel, sir? What is your experience? What is your comment regarding this?
Well, I agree. I agree with that. But there are so many countries that we do not have economic support. Many hospitals around the world do not have neuronavigation, and in that case, I think neuroanatomy and craniometric points are going to be very useful for doing surgery. Yes, it's true. Neuronavigation is displacing some craniometric points, but anatomy is going to be very useful for many centuries. Technology is not going to be better than anatomy, or both are important, technology and anatomy, neuroanatomy.
May I
Hello, hello, Dr. Shuman.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Dr. Hussein from Dhaka,
Yes,
from Ibrahim Medical. Can I ask you questions?
yes, of course, sir.
Yeah.
Then go ahead,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, basically, I am using both navigation and craniometric point. From my view, the craniometric point is more can help us more precisely, because sometimes navigations, because of technical error, it may create problem. So we have the young generation should know both the things very precisely, because without craniometry navigation, we cannot be so sure. But with craniometric point can make us some can help us to decide whether we are navigation is appropriate or not. So I think we should know craniometric point properly, as well as the navigation where it is facilities is available. So we should know how to use both navigation and also the craniometric point as well.
I totally agree with Professor Hussein and Professor Perez of what they are saying. I mean, now neuronavigation since the beginning until now, there are plenty of errors due to the brain shift. As soon as you open the dura and the CSF starts to leak out, the proper anatomy of the navigation in comparison to the MRI or the CT scan that you are guiding yourself on will be totally changed, and it will be continuously changed during the surgery. I have experience with the neuronavigation since the beginnings of 92, 91. And what I'm saying is that neuronavigation is good in the fixed parts, either in the bone or on the clinoid or on the posterior fossa openings, holes in the bone. I mean, that cannot be changed. But what is changing is the brain matter itself. So we have, as surgeons, know the neuroanatomy in a very, very, very good way, because we cannot see what we don't know. I mean, if we are going to search for something in the navigation, we have to know it. I mean, I cannot go in navigation where I cannot know where I'm going. So knowledge of anatomy is mandatory for every surgeon. And this is a message for all the younger generation. You have now a very, very good occasion to see the anatomy, either virtually or by the applications which is available on the net, or in the laboratories in the universities or in the hospitals. Anatomy is surgery. If you don't want to know anatomy, don't be a surgeon. That's my message. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Excellent comment, sir. Really, it's a very helpful comment from both the panelists. Actually, the preoperative radiological analysis with MRI and CT scan and paraoperative craniometric point identification and sulci gyri identification. That means detailed anatomical knowledge. Both together makes the neurosurgeon as a neuronavigator rather than a neuronavigation itself. Of course, the both things together help us a lot. Thank you, sir.
Exactly.
And any question or comment from any panelist? The floor is free for all.
Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Any question from CNW member Bangladesh? Residents? Please.
Okay, I think we have someone there. Debayoti, you have a question or comment? Okay, Shakir Khan, do you have a question? Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. Okay, Mohammed, I think we're going to wrap it up for this.
Today we have our honorable Professor Neurosurgery, our mentor, Honorable Vice Chancellor from Bangladesh Sheikh Mujib Medical University, the only medical university in Bangladesh. Professor Konok Kanti Borua sir with us, possibly. Sir, can you tell something regarding this webinar, sir? Can you hear us, sir?
Okay, is he here?
Oh, I think he left.
Oh, okay, that's okay. That's okay. Okay, I think we can wrap this up, Mohammed. Thank you very much, and thanks everyone for coming. And Victor, I can just tell the audience they're in for the start of a great ride with you, with neuroanatomy. I mean, Victor can talk neuroanatomy 24 hours a day. He's a great guy. I've worked with him for years. So, okay, we'd like to wrap this up. And I have something special. I have a surprise. This is the wonderful thing about live TV. We have the artist. She's a neurosurgeon from Thailand. Her name is Boralex, and she helps a lot of projects, including this one, with doing very good banners and arts. Boralex, you there? And we'd like to have her show around. Are you there, Boralex? I hope you didn't bail. Well, I should have checked with her before announcing it. Well, I can always edit this out. Warlock,
yes,
are you there?
She's here now.
Oh, she's here. Warlock, you there?
Yes, she's showing herself.
Wara, looks, hi, how are you? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the invitation. This is a honor for me to be here, and we are going to make a good job. I'm very sure in the next lectures. Thank you.
Okay, a mix of art and neurosurgery. Okay, Warlock, can you take over?
Okay. So this is actually it's it's kind of like silly. So I want to talk about what I'm doing. But first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Victor that he taught us about the basics anatomies and craniometric light intervention is really important. You know, and I remember when I was a neurosurgical assistant, I have to prepare the cadaveric head by myself too. I have to take it from the glass lab, and after the chop off the head, I have to put that and rinse in the water, rinse the blood out, and fix it with the formalins. And here in Thailand, we use the some color and put in that and prepare for the cadaveric. And in my center, we did more than 6 to 7 cadaveric workshops per year. So yeah, wow. Did a lot. Yeah.
You're going to show us around your art site, your artwork, etc. Could you do it, please?
Okay. Okay.
You know, I kid Neurolex. I say she's an artist that has a hobby, neurosurgery.
No.
Not the other way around.
Okay, so you see my presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys see my presentations, right?
Yes, sure.
Okay,
Yes.
so this is the latest poster that I made for this grand opening of Neuroanatomy TV, in which Dr. Victor, he did the first presentation. So I put my art like at the background, and yeah, I like dark color more. And so we have upcoming like amazing panelists that Dr. Vladimir, Victor's eyes and Luis. So for people who don't know me, this is my information if you're interested in my work. I'm a neurosurgeon in Thailand, and I also do medical illustrations. And this is my website if you're interested, and my Instagram and Facebook page, so you can follow my art. And for a lot of questions from the people ask me privately, I am full-time neurosurgeon, and right now I currently do my neurovascular endovascular fellowships in Bangkok, Thailand. My artwork, I do it as my duty to draw an operative note almost every day that I join. And I used iPad Pro. I did not use illustrations program. I use Procreate applications. If you are interested, I okay to teach you. You can ask me privately. I use this program because it's easy to use, transfer, save the files, and it can make a beautiful operative note. I'm not professional artist. I'm not artist since I was born. I never learned art, but I mean, believe me, I mean, you guys can do it. And this is my Instagrams. If you take a look at the beginning, as I told you, I did not like, you know, do art as my job. I do it's only my my duty for, you know, for uh, my 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 careers and my like study.
To write your post-operative notes in a drawn way. That's excellent. That's really fun.
Thank you. Yeah. So now I practice on the I know people like I do like a lot of surgery of cerebral aneurysms, but I know some of people comment me that you can planning on the 3D CTA, but in my center, my mentor, he told me to draw it too, pre-operative view, and he let me guess which shapes and type of clip that I have to use, you know, so it's kind of like lots of imaging. So that I have to look at the 3D CTA before, and the answer is when I attend in the operative node and in the operative field, and I know what is the answer. Yeah. So yeah, this is the Victor that I want to leave a message for every resident that craniometric point is important. So this is the pictures that I used to draw when I was neurosurgical resident. It's a video. And this is my website. I'm not really like updated much, but it's only like showcase. And
What's the address of that website, Warlix? Can you type it up there or put it in the chat in case anyone wants to look at it? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, there it was. Warg. Where it was Warg something. I thought I saw it there.
And I illustrate full textbook 2 or 3 in Thai, and right now I currently do the art for some of the neurosurgeons that they ask me. I mean, the point is I love to do it because it's correlate to my work. So especially for the anatomy. So I also, besides neurosurgical anatomy, I also do for other anatomy as well. So it is for anatomy of abdominal wall, in which if it's launched, I will show you later. This is the, yeah, some other field that it's I'm not that familiar with.
That's just extra, right? That's a bonus. I guess you're gonna take that one out the next presentation.
Yeah, but come on, if you are like, you know, you're a doctor, you have to
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I'm sure not everybody's shocked.
You know that I'm a neurosurgeon, that I have to fix the artery in the kidney. Then yeah, vascular is related to us because sometimes we operate on the neck. So it's all the fields that I like about this, about the neck anatomy, something like that. And yeah, hepato like anatomy is that I have to fix that lot of things with the gallbladder and liver or something. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Didn't you have some other accounts? You have an Instagram, right? You have a lot of stuff on that.
Yeah,
Okay, but
yeah.
that's hard to share. Any other artwork you want to share? Can you show the banners that you've made? I mean, really quick. I mean, you made a bunch of banners for us. Just show a couple.
A banner like that I do.
Yeah, for Yuha, the banners that you did for Yuha.
Okay.
You have those handy?
Yes, actually, I have lots of private work that I do for some many.
Yeah, Yuha, as everyone knows, that he does grand rounds on Fridays at 8 o'clock China time. And
Yeah,
Warlocks has been nice enough to be making the banners, and I think it's drawn a lot of more attention. Of course, Yuha would get a lot of attention wherever he goes, but having these banners helps, and Yuha appreciates it.
yeah. Something like this.
Yeah.
So
Really excellent.
I think being a neurosurgeon and artist at the same time is really a very, very big advantage for not only of you, Warlocks, I mean, it is for all of us. When you look to the beautiful books of Professor Yazargil, beautiful books or drawings of Professor Rotten before the era of the colored cameras and the digital cameras, I mean, all was, I mean, when you look to the surgical books, which was done by plenty of artists, you go to the old editions, which we studied in Buckingham and I mean Cunningham and Grant's Atlas and the Gray's Anatomy. These are people who was artists like you. They love drawing. They know how to put the anatomy in a 3D on a paper, and at the same time, they know the anatomy. I mean, you cannot be drawing something that you don't know. You cannot draw some scientific thing with proper anatomical relationships without really knowing what is this anatomy or what is this surgery. So I think you are a real gain to the area of neurosurgical teaching. You should not hide your hobby and your capabilities. It is really something which we should all encourage and get benefits from. I think that Professor Perez maybe agrees with me for that, no? I mean, when you want to draw something, you cannot draw it if you don't have both capabilities, the anatomy knowledge and the being able to give life to the photo on paper. So good work. I congratulate you for that. And please don't stop. Continue and progress more and more. Don't only be satisfied with the banners for Professor Dr. Bennett, but only for everything in anatomy. I
don't
think
take
maybe
her
you
away
can...
from us. Don't take her away
no,
from
no,
us.
no, no, no. We are not. We don't want to take care from you. You are the star of neurosurgery. Now you are leading all the neurosurgical webinars over all the world, from East in China to West in States and Latin America, including all the world. You are the star of neurosurgery,
Even
and you will
Bangladesh.
remain the star, inshallah.
Thank you. And we're just starting. We're just starting.
Yeah.
And we're really glad to have this association with Bangladesh because we haven't had any conferences before with Bangladesh, but I'm glad to start and then have Warlocks drop in and say, I want to show my artwork. I mean, this is great. I mean, it's meant to be used. It's a great visual medium. And let me show you something actually. I want to show you guys what we're doing in the future. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm building studios for people like Victor, anatomists and neurosurgeons who love to give anatomy lectures. I built studios like this studio I built for Victor, where it's it's a little different. That's a little time delay, but that it's also on his studio. It's a different interface, I think, because it gives the viewer an option of getting information like Victor's profile. It takes you to his Facebook, YouTube questions. You can ask live on YouTube questions on that. Let me get back here. But so if any, Victor, you like your studio? You can decorate it. You can
Yeah.
decorate it like a Mexican bus. You know how all the buses and Mexicans are decorated in Mexico?
John Bennett, I feel really honored for seeing this studio. I promise I'm going to do my best in the next courses.
Oh yeah, we're just starting with you, Victor. But you know, like this is a good example. Like any webinar Victor does, he doesn't have to be with us. He can be doing with another organization. We'll try to put it into his studio because there's ways of doing that also. That we can take other streams from other broadcasts and put it in your studio. So again, I repeat, any neuroanatomists or neurosurgeons who do a lot of neuroanatomy, just let me know and we'll broadcast your neuroanatomy, because I think I would like to see neuroanatomy 24 hours a day, like music. Like music, because people thought when MTV started, now come on, who's going to listen to music 24 hours a day? But nowadays, the world is small, and not necessarily one area of the world will do all the neurosurgery webcasts. But one country's getting up, and the other country's going to sleep, and if it's organized, I think it can be done. But of course, that's in the future. But I think we can start to have more neuroanatomy online, more, so that you can always tune in. That's one thing I was impressed when I started neurosurgical TV, was the passion and the dedication to learning neuroanatomy. The great neurosurgeons, I bet you, they're also the great neuroanatomists too. I think they work together.
Exactly.
So I hope really to put a lot of neuroanatomy online and have other people participate.
Hi, John.
Yes.
Can you give us light for the next lectures or webinar regarding this Roton series?
Okay, it's the same link. You mean the link to get in?
No, what are the lecture contents down the line for the 20?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Let me show that. Okay, yeah, that's part of production. And Mohammed's keeping me on my toes. Okay. Okay, here we go. Yeah, Victor gives a couple more. Okay, we just did Victor Hugo Perez with the inaugural. Abita Shah, she was in the webcast for a while. You still there, Abby? I guess not. She stepped away. She's from India. She's giving it next week on white fiber dissection, central core. And there's the rest of the schedule. And Victor's giving a bunch. I've been doing it for years with Victor. And he has the advantage of speaking Spanish too. He has a very wide following. And Victor, you're in Mexico City, downtown, or do you work from your home?
No, specimens, I work them in the Forensic Sciences Institute here in Mexico City.
Okay. Can you show us your website, the forensic work you're doing? You have that handy?
Okay, in the next lectures, I can show you the place. Yes.
I'm pretty sure I'll show you my pictures to the Everglades. Okay, so is someone showing something? Okay, I think, I guess we can wrap it up, Mohammed.
Yeah.
That second part wasn't part of the neuroanatomy. That's artist. And then